Hello, everyone. So it is Erin Chung, and I teach creative real estate agents how to generate leads on demand so that way they can grow the real estate businesses on autopilot. We do this usually through becoming a community influencer. And one of the people that I have today is Lauren Haug. So Lauren, please tell us where you're from and who you serve.
Okay, I am Lauren Haug, and I live in Loveland, Colorado, which most people know Fort Collins. So we're just south of that, a much smaller town. And my big focus, since I have three small children of my own, is families. And secondarily, I also focus on educators. Since before coming into real estate, I was a teacher for about a decade.
That's awesome. I was a teacher too, for 5 years. That's awesome. I love that.
remember doing that. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you happen to remember, I always like to ask people how you found me or the program or any, how'd you find LSA? Do you remember?
You found me, I think, because it was probably, I saw one of your ads and I, looked at some of your master classes and some of your materials, and then all of the retargeting came and came and came. And so it's funny because the first time I thought about joining LSA was back when it was something like $27 a month. And I was like, gosh, I don't know if I could justify that. And then the second time it came around, it was 47. And I was like, oh no, I got to sign up for this prices again. So it was the retargeting. And that's when, after taking the classes and seeing that that's something that you teach, I was like, well, that's obviously it works. So
it's funny because I have a lot of people that are in the academy that say thank you for retargeting me. And I'm like, seriously? That's amazing. What a great position to be in.
I feel like it's changed so much of what my business looks like. So
let's talk about that. So think back to what it was before, let's talk about what was business like before you found LSA and before you knew how to do all of this cool stuff that you're doing that we're going to talk about in just a second.
Yeah. And so I've been in real estate for 3 years, and pretty much all of my business has been from referrals from friends or people that I know, which is amazing. I work for a really small boutique brokerage, and I am literally the only agent outside of Denver in this part of Colorado. So getting brand recognition has been huge. And before this call, I went and looked at, how Facebook will weekly send you updates of your reach and different things like that. And it literally, in January, my post reach was something like 436 and engagement was 281. The one that we got today, my post reach was 18,000.
Oh my God.
With 1.2 thousand. So I haven't gotten any clients yet, but just seeing that huge difference in just it wasn't even a couple months. These numbers have been pretty steady. This is what our monthly reach is for the past 3 or 4 months that I've been in LSA. And it was almost immediate when I started implementing, the social media graphics and different things like that. So
that's amazing. And also I want to say kudos to you for sticking with it, because even if you aren't getting, if you're getting some leads, but not transactions yet, as you know, with all real estate marketing, it takes 6 to 18 months. And I'm always super, because I know there's a lot of people that promise silver bullets. We're not one of them. And I think that's one of the reasons why people come to me, but I'm proud of you for sticking it out, because what I know is that we have some people that have been in the academy for about 18 months now, for a year and a half. And some of them, it took them 6 months, some of them even a year, but now it's the leads are flowing in so much that we did one success story that we just filmed last week where she literally has more leads than she can handle. And she had to stop the marketing because she was going on vacation and she couldn't handle all of the stuff. So
I watched that one and I was like, holy cow.
Yes. I actually just did a success story with Mariah Burke, and she does the marketing for her husband. And she was talking about how same thing for her. They had done serving before selling. They did it for 6 months. And then he just on a whim, blasted out an email to all of the leads that he had collected. And he said, hey, are you thinking about buying and selling? And 30 hot leads actually replied back to him and said, actually, I know someone, or I'm thinking. So you have the right idea. Just keep serving
Yeah.
what they're selling. And then over time, it'll just be like a fire hose. So that's good for you.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I feel like I keep getting the validation from people being like, oh yeah, I saw this thing, or I saw that thing. Like I went today because I just ordered some for sale signs for listings, and I went to pick them up, and this lady does signs for, I don't know how many real estate agents in our town. And she was like, I swear you are like so familiar to me. She's like, there was something, are we Facebook friends, or did I just see you on Facebook? And I was like, you probably saw me on Facebook. There was like this big barbecue festival last weekend. And she's like, I think it had something to do with that. And I was like, yeah, that's because I, sent that out to all of these groups. I didn't even like make an ad out of it. I just shared it with a bunch of groups, and it was like magic. And this lady who knows hundreds of other realtors was like, I swear I know you. So
that's great. Yeah. That's amazing. Like, I mean, one of the biggest benefits of being a community influencer is like people recognize you in the community, which is like such a good position for the realtor to be in. So I love hearing that. That's really cool. Let's talk about some of the results that you've gotten. So like, I know that you were posting in the group, and you are doing a really good thing with like the events list. Like, let's just talk about that, since you just touched on that a little bit just now.
Sure. Yeah. So, and this is honestly, it's my most time intensive post that I do every week, but it's my favorite because I learn about what's going on in our community, and I learn about, the things that people are interested in. So I literally just go on to Facebook and open up every event. And if I know about other things that don't show up on Facebook, I'll go to those specific web pages, but I make a blog post out of it every week, every Friday, and then share it. I don't have my own Facebook group set up yet because there's so many community groups in our town. I'm just trying to figure out what my something special is going to be for my group, but I'll share it to all of the other ones. And that's probably where most of our reach comes from. And that one I'll actually boost it like you recommend. But I just last week was my first week putting on like a form on the blog for people to sign up. And I got a handful of leads just that first time of people wanting to get that blog post in their email, in their inbox. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's literally just what you say to do. And that's, I mean, you asked me to come on and talk about it. And I was like, well, if they watched your lessons on it, they'll know exactly what I'm doing. So.
It's funny because like a lot of the, you're right. You're 100% right. The events list takes the most time. It's the most time intensive post. And I remember as an agent, like I was doing that. I was doing it weekly, and like every single time I skipped a week or whatever, I was sick or whatever, I just didn't feel like doing it. I got lazy. And it was like, people would call me and text me and email me and be like, where is it? Like, what is going on? So, I mean, it's like, it's good because as a real estate agent, it's important to have people come to you instead of always like you chasing people all the time. So that feels good as an agent. So I'm glad, even though it's time intensive, you are not the only one. Like every single person that implements that and does it consistently is getting tons and tons of reach, and also free leads. Like you said, people opting in to get the list, and then they're sending it out. They have a good reason to send it out every single week to people every Friday too. So good for you.
And it's starting to get shared and different things like that. Like literally this week, my goal for last Friday's post was to get 5,000 reach, because I've been kind of hovering just under that. And this week it hit like 6,700 for the reach. And so I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Mind you, we live in a small town. I don't really know how that compares to other people's communities, but our town's a little bit smaller. So
I almost feel like you have a competitive advantage in a small town, because when you're a big fish in a small pond, like that's typically how it works. So I live outside of LA, and it's a suburb. And so it is kind of small. And so even though I live like in a big metro area, the actual area that I was serving as an agent is very, very small. And so when I would do that is I would just like pick things, like sometimes they would be random, sometimes they would be like, big things. But either way, it was like I said, after a while, I had so many people on my email list that it was almost like they were looking to me as like the local newspaper as opposed to actually the events list in all the papers, because I can't like, I aggregated everything together. So is that kind of like what you're doing too, basically like making?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a ton of other community type influencers that aren't realtors in my town that do like one-off, like they'll share a post or they'll share an event or different things like that. But I think the thing about what I do is that it literally is everything all in one place. And then after my first couple weeks doing it, I decided to kind of split it up into just like community events, arts and creativity, sports and fitness, and live music, because those were kind of what I saw as like naturally recurring every week. And so now it's even more accessible. So you can go to the date and see like what your interest is and what's happening in that category.
That's awesome. I know for a lot of the Colorado agents, like I was in Denver and I did a meetup in Denver and I talked to a lot of the agents there. And I noticed that in Colorado, maybe this is like the same thing for you where you are too, but there's a lot of outdoor activities like that seem to be huge there. So like, do you ever run out of content, or like, does it seem like there's always something going on?
I never run out of content. There's literally so much to do here. And I mean, people move here because of our outdoor lifestyle. So people love to be running. They do triathlons. They go hiking. They go backpacking. And you know, we've got lakes. So this week we're doing instead of golfing, because I'm not a big golfer, we're doing stand-up paddleboarding lakes like in the area. So yeah, I mean, there's like a never ending supply of things to do and places to point people. So
that's cool. Do local businesses, like if you go places, I know you had mentioned before about the sign lady, but like when you're out and about, do people ever recognize you, or do people like, do they ever say like, oh, is this the person who I see all the time? Or tell me a little bit more about that.
it's happened a couple of times. More what I'll get is, and this always makes me smile. I'll get a Facebook message from a business owner and have them ask, you know, well, hey, we saw you do a hotspot, or hey, we see that you put these event lists out and we'd really love to be included. These are the events that we're doing. So, so not so much out in public yet. If they do, they don't like come up to me. I don't know. Like I've heard other people do. There's a handful that I know. My office is right in the middle of downtown too. So I already know a lot of the business owners in our downtown area. So, so that doesn't really hurt either.
Nice. I did a success story with Michael Abney, and like he was saying how he was in the grocery store one time and like he heard people whispering about him, and then he just happened to turn around, and right when he did, they're like, there's that guy, like that's the realtor I was telling you about. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So
that's so funny.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else before we close out, like anything else you want to say, any results or anything that comes to mind that you want for people to know before we close it out?
No, I mean, I jotted down some notes before. I feel like we've covered everything, but honestly, back to when you were asking me how I do my events list, if you're paying for this program, if you're in LSA, literally all you have to do is do what Erin says, because, you follow it verbatim and you end up getting results. Like, she's not blowing smoke. Like, it's pretty amazing. So I'm still pretty new in the program. I finished, but I still feel like I'm at the tip of the iceberg of what I could be doing. And so it's just about, what direction I want to go and take, her content and apply it to my business. So
nice.
Just do what she tells you. That's all.
I feel like it's like, I, in full disclosure, like I started LSA as a course, and I thought about it and I'm like, this actually doesn't make any sense, because I agree with you. Like, even people who have gone through it, we have a lot of alums who've gone through it, and then they'll actually go back and start from the beginning, because there's always like something you missed for the first time around. And once you finish, you have a big picture of the entire program. So when you do go back from the very beginning, you just get better and better and better. And so like, that's why it's a membership, because I know it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get back through it. And then I also encourage you guys to go back again, just one more time if you are an alum, because there's probably stuff you missed the first time, because it's brand new to everybody. So you're really smart for like doing all of that stuff. And like, I just wanted to say, I'm really proud of you, because I love hearing everyone's successes, but especially when it comes down to the events list, that's really close to my heart. And I know a lot of people don't do it because it takes a lot of time. So kudos to you for actually just like getting it done. So I'm excited.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you, and thanks for providing direction. So
You're welcome. Thank you so
yeah,
much for being on the show. And I'm sure I'll see you in the Facebook group very, very soon. So thank you so much, Lauren.
yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye.